Ukrainian authorities said Wednesday that while Russian forces were driven back from the capital of Kyiv during the early phases of the war, Moscow has made advances in the Donbas region. From Kyiv, reporter Anna Chernikova provides more details after hearing about reports of explosions in Zaporizhzhia.
There is some part of the region is occupied by Russian forces, and another part is under Ukrainian control. So we can see very heavy shelling in the area, mostly on the civilians. So private houses, private infrastructure, and critical infrastructure for the city. There are people, a lot of people injured, and
Poland's Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki on Wednesday called Russia's halt of gas deliveries a direct attack on Poland, adding that the EU member would not give in to this blackmail. He spoke after Poland's state-controlled gas utility company confirmed that Russian giant Gazprom had completely suspended the supply of gas to Poland via the Yamal pipeline. He added, thanks to our efforts, Poland will not need Russian gas at all starting this autumn. Using similar language, Bulgaria's prime minister Wednesday accused Moscow of using natural gas for blackmail. He called Gazprom's move, quote, a gross violation of their contract, end quote, adding, quote, we will not succumb to such a racket, end quote. Meanwhile, Hungary has responded by saying the country's supply of Russian natural gas will be unaffected by the decision from Gazprom to cut supplies to Poland and Bulgaria. World leaders and a bevy of U.S. political and foreign policy elite paid their respects Wednesday to the late Madeleine Albright, the child refugee from war-torn Europe who rose to become America's first female Secretary of State. Some 1,400 mourners gathered in Washington to celebrate her life and accomplishments, led by President Joe Biden and predecessors Barack Obama and Bill Clinton, the man who picked Albright to be his top diplomat and the highest-ranking woman ever in the U.S. government at that time. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton says Albright was a fierce defender of democracy and peace.
It is the resolve of the refugee who fled tyranny twice before the age of 11. And it is the determination of a diplomat who knew war and worked to end it.
The 84-year-old stateswoman died of cancer last month. A Myanmar court has convicted the country's former leader Aung San Suu Kyi of corruption and sentenced her to 5 years in prison in the first of several corruption cases against her. AP's Karen Shamus has more.
Suu Kyi, who was ousted last year by an army takeover, has denied accepting bribes from a political colleague. Many legal experts and her supporters believe the ousting and conviction are an attempt to legitimize the military's seizure of power. When the army allowed an election in 2015, her party won a landslide victory, and she became the de facto head of state. Her party won a greater majority in the 2020 polls. She has already been sentenced to 6 years imprisonment in other cases and faces 10 more corruption charges. I'm Karen Shamas.
Internet services were down or running slowly in several French cities Wednesday after suspected acts of vandalism targeting fiber optic cables, one operator, and the Economy Ministry said. At Cape Canaveral in Florida, SpaceX launched 4 astronauts to the International Space Station for NASA. AP's Ed Donahue has more.
Ignition.
The Falcon rocket blasted off before dawn.
And liftoff. Go Falcon. Let freedom ring. Godspeed, Crew 4.
Many people were up early to get a look at Spaceview Park, directly across from the launch pad.
First you get the visual of it going up, but it takes like a minute or so for the sound to catch up.
And Hannah Siegmiller says when the sound does catch up,
it's just incredible. Like you're right there in it, and you feel, you know, a little bit of what those astronauts must be feeling.
NASA's Steve Stitch says this is a very short flight.
It's the fastest launch to dock that we've done. It's about the same time it takes to go from New York to Singapore.
The crew includes the first black woman making a long-term space flight, NASA's Jessica Watkins. I'm Ed Donahue.
Hi, thank you for watching. I hope the videos are useful for you. Please subscribe to my channel using the button below.